Good morning, girls. I hope you all are safe at home. Today we'll begin with the second chapter, Mesopotamian Civilization. So before I begin, you can see I've underlined a few words and the meanings are also written. So as I read, follow the same in your textbooks and write down the meanings. We'll begin with location. The Mesopotamian civilization is said to be the oldest among the Bronze Age civilizations. It emerged in the fertile land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. In fact, the word Mesopotamia, modern Iraq, means a land between the rivers. The Tigris and the Euphrates rivers run parallel to each other, and during floods they overflow their banks and deposit alluvial silt along the lower reaches of the plain. Thus, the region's location between the two rivers and its fertile soil gave rise to settlements from 10,000 BCE. So this Mesopotamian civilization, it is one of the oldest civilization, and you can see in this picture, this is the river Euphrates and this is the river Tigris. So this region between these two rivers, this is the Mesopotamian region. Now during floods, both these rivers, the river Tigris and the river Euphrates, they overflow. When they overflow, they deposit alluvial silt along this region. So we had learnt in the previous chapter, this alluvial silt, it is a mixture of sand, clay, gravel, etc. So this alluvial silt, it makes the soil fertile. Since the soil in this region was fertile, people began to come and settle in this region. Now, origin. Mesopotamia is a region, not a country. It refers to the area between the Euphrates and Tigris rivers in modern Iraq. It formed the whole surrounding boundary within which rose a number of city-states, independent states each consisting of a city and the area around it, which later on developed into great civilization. These city-states fought with each other to establish their control over the others. Now, this region, it is the Mesopotamian region, and you can see there were some city-states in this region. Now, what is a city-state? City-state, they are independent states, each consisting of a city and the area around it. They have a city and they have some area around that city. Those are known as the city-states. So these city-states, they were constantly in fight with each other for power. So this fight that they had led to the rise and fall of the city-states. Now we'll see which are the city-states. Sumer. Around 3500 BCE, the Sumerians developed the world's first civilization in Sumer in the southernmost region of Mesopotamia. So it was in Sumer that the world's first civilization developed. They developed agriculture and trade and the world's first known cities. The most important cities of these were Erech, Eridu, Lagash and Ur. Many Sumerian inventions such as the plough, the sailboat and the system of writing were adapted by other civilizations. So the Sumerian civilization was the world's first civilization and there were many inventions that took place here. The invention of plough, the sailboat, system of writing and many other inventions. So these inventions were later on used by many other civilizations. Now you can see this plough. It is, we had learned it in the previous chapter. It is a farming tool that is used to turn the soil before sowing seeds. For this reason, Sumer is often referred to as a cradle of civilization. So this is the reason why Sumer is referred to as a cradle of civilization, because this Sumerian civilization was one of the oldest civilization and most of the inventions took place in this Sumerian civilization. You can see this word cradle. It is a baby's bed which is mounted on rockers. You might have seen this cradle. It is a baby's bed where you rock the baby. Akkad. This city-state was located in the north of Sumer. Around 2371 BCE, a strong ruler called Sargon defeated the Sumerian ruler and established an empire by combining Sumer and Akkad into one kingdom. Sargon introduced the Akkadian language. You can see here, this is the Akkad. So, this Akkad and the Sumer is combined into one kingdom by the ruler Sargon. Now the next one is Babylonia. It lay in the northeast of Sumer. Hammurabi was the greatest Babylonian ruler who united the whole of what is now called Iraq into a single kingdom. You can see in this picture, this green area, this green color area is a Hammurabi's empire. So this Hammurabi was a ruler who united this whole area, and this whole area is the present Iraq. Assyria. The Assyrians settled in the valley of Tigris River by 2000 BCE. They built their capital at Assur and were very powerful between 1000 BCE and 612 BCE. Ashurbanipal was their most important ruler. So, these are the various city-states. Now we'll move on to town planning. Organization of the city-states. Around 3000 BCE, there were a dozen city-states in Mesopotamia. The Sumerians are regarded as the first society to construct the city itself as a built form. They were proud of this achievement as it is attested in the Epic of Gilgamesh, which begins with a description of Uruk, its walls, streets, markets, temples and gardens. So there were many city-states, there were about a dozen city-states, and this Sumerians were regarded as the first society to construct the city itself as a built form. It was the first constructed city in the built form. They were proud of this achievement as it is attested in the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now this Epic of Gilgamesh, it is a poem, and this poem, it begins with the description of Uruk, its walls, streets, markets, temples and gardens. The cities seemed to be well organized and based on a uniform pattern. However, they were not as well planned as the Harappan cities. Now remember, in Harappan civilization, when we learnt about the Harappan town planning, we learnt that they were very well organized. They had good drainage systems, they had sufficient water supply, and their houses were all well planned. Whereas this town planning, the organization of Mesopotamian civilization, it was not as well planned as the Harappan cities. The city-states had a typical organization. Each city was divided into 3 zones. There in the Harappan civilization, the cities, they were divided into 2, whereas here in Mesopotamian civilization, the cities were divided into 3 zones. The first one is a sacred zone, where the most notable architectural feature was the temple complex called the ziggurat. It was dedicated to the patron god of the city. So here in the sacred zone, the most important feature was the ziggurat. Now that is a temple complex where they worshipped their patron god. Patron means guardian or protector. They had their own god and they worshipped this god in this temple complex called the ziggurat. The walled city where the bulk of the population lived. Now the second was a walled city, and it was in this place that majority of the population lived. The outer town where the farmers and the artisans lived. Now the third one was the outer town where the farmers and the artisans. Artisans means those who are skilled in manual work. So the farmers and the artisans, they lived in the outer town. Each city-state had its own patron god on whose name a temple was built. Cities were the centers of administration where a number of offices and stores existed. Further, the cities developed as centers of commerce and industry. So every city, they had their own god, and a temple was built on the name of that god. And it was in these cities that administrative offices and stores were all existed.